And I believe you occasionally get pre-match texts from David Beckham, who's taken a real interest in your career since you were at Forest. How did that relationship develop?
I think it was from my dad and him were kind of similar age at Manchester United Academy, and I think they got on well. So it's something that he kind of just kept an eye on me, obviously, because he was friends with my dad. So yeah, I think the relationship probably isn't as strong as people think. It's not like we're constantly texting and things like that.
Lean into the myth, Brennan. It just gets bigger and bigger with every retelling. My guest today has been one of the most tenacious, heartwarmingly clinical stories of this Premier League season. A Welsh bolter lightning whose face is proudly worn by Spurs supporters with the original Ronaldo's 2002 World Cup haircut superimposed. And then the form he's in, it is no lie. He's already scored 8 in all competitions, including a 6-match scoring run when he was bringing the boom like Big Justice. It's a joy to welcome Mr. Brennan Johnson.
Hello, Raj.
Hello, Brennan. I've been wanting to speak to you for so long. Your story begins in the Nottingham Forest Academy when you were just 8 years old. And you've said that the club's approach for kids like you was to just enjoy the game and, quote, play with a smile on your face. When exactly did that change and you had to start to take the game a little more seriously?
For me, I'd say probably when you get to about 16, 17, when it's time to kind of sign professional and sign scholarships like we do in England. So yeah, I think that's kind of when you learn a bit more about the game's business side and about contracts and really pushing to get in the first team. So I'd probably say then was kind of the time when it was taken a little bit more seriously and you really have to devote everything to football. So yeah, I'd say around that time.
You moved to Spurs September 2023, but even before you'd arrived, you talked about how you would watch the quite remarkable Son Heung-min at every opportunity on tape to learn from seeing him play with both feet. What's it been like for you to train beside him, to see how he operates on and off the field? And to what extent is the club's culture a reflection of his approach to the game?
Yeah, I think for me it's been amazing to be able to work alongside him and play with him. I think he's an unbelievable player, and yeah, as you said, there's so many things in his game which I admire and have admired for a long time now. So his both feet, I think his work rate, his leadership, how professional he is. There's so many things. Obviously, as most important, he's such a nice guy as well. So yeah, all them things kind of make him how good he is, and yeah, it's an honour to be able to play with him.
You previously said that you could be, quote, your own biggest critic after games. I'm always fascinated by that. Can you talk about that process and when it occurs? Is it in the immediate aftermath of games? Is it in conversations like with your dad afterwards? Or is it watching game tape in the cold, hard daylight after the match?
Obviously, when watching a game back, there's obviously things that you miss, so then you kind of think about how you maybe could have done a little bit better, but also there's always things that kind of spring to your mind straight after a game, whether it's a chance. They're more the bigger things like chances, or yeah, if you didn't get in the right position. I think they're the things that kind of I think about most, but a bit of everything. I think speaking to people and just hearing, obviously from within the training ground, so coaches, players, hearing about their opinions about things that we did right and wrong. So yeah, a bit of everything, but yeah, I'm trying to just focus and trying to use it into the next game.
Do you feel it in game, Brennan? Like, does it impact you in the flow of the match?
No, I wouldn't say it ever impacts me too much during the game, because, listen, a football game's so quick, you don't have too much time to be focusing on something that's happened in the past, because the most important thing is always the next action. So I think, yeah, I try not to think about stuff too much during the game.
Whatever you're doing, it is working in end sub. You scored again at the weekend in Spurs' 4-0 dismantling of Manchester City. And Brennan, watching the game, it was astonishing. It was like watching someone strip for a Ferrari for parts, but it also followed Tottenham losses to Ipswich Town and the one to Crystal Palace. Inside of Tottenham Hotspur, how do you understand this team's incredible peaks and also their inconsistency?
When we play like how we did against Man City and also Man United away, it kind of shows us what we really can do and how we can play. Then obviously losing games like that just makes it even more frustrating, because listen, none of us ever want to lose or drop our performance. So it's something that we have to look back at, we have to really analyse and think about how we played in certain moments, maybe when the other team scored, or trying to come back from defeat, because obviously Ipswich went down 2 goals, so we give ourselves a mountain to climb. So yeah, we just kind of have to like dig into how we played and try and stop that from happening.
What's the one thing that needs to change for consistency to kick in?
I think it's a lot of things. I think physically, how hard we work and how hard we run. I think in them games we definitely did drop, and we've looked at that. And then also I think mentality at times. I think that when there's periods in the game where the other team are on top, we kind of have to respect it and maybe defend a little bit better. And then when we get the chance to attack, we really try and punish them and be relentless and ruthless. And it's probably a mix of all them things, to be honest.
I know you've got an incredible support network behind you. Your dad, obviously a professional footballer. I know your mum, Alison, texts you a 4-leaf clover before every game. And I believe you occasionally get pre-match texts from David Beckham, who's taken a real interest in your career since you were at Forest. How did that relationship develop? And what's it feel like knowing that David Beckham is watching you, sitting at home? I like to imagine him with a bowl of jellied eels, just sitting there watching you play.
I think it was from my dad and him were kind of similar age at Manchester United Academy, and I think they got on well. So it's something that he kind of just kept an eye on me, obviously, because he was friends with my dad. So yeah, I think the relationship probably isn't as strong as people think. It's not like we're constantly texting and things like that. But yeah, he has messaged me a couple of times before, like a while ago now. But yeah, obviously it's a nice feeling that he did kind of keep an eye out on what I was doing. And when I came here, he was quite supportive of that. But yeah, that's about as far as the relationship goes.
Lean into the myth, Brennan. It just gets bigger and bigger with every retelling. Brennan, I got to say, I admire the way you play, the improvisation, the creativity. And then I learned something quite amazing, that when you were younger, the Disney Channel show Zeke and Luther got you really, really deep into skateboarding. And honestly, same for me, Luther waffles forever. I know you spent a lot of free time skating in the park. Is there an alternate universe where Brennan Johnson is an elite Olympic skateboarder? And is there anything, this is a slightly mad question, but is there anything that you learned from skateboarding, movement, confidence, improvisation that you've carried with you into football?
Obviously, if I didn't play football, I think skateboarding is something that I was most into, and I think obviously it kind of stopped because obviously it is quite dangerous and there are little injuries you can get, especially with ankles and things like that. But I don't know if there's anything that's kind of helped me in football, but I think like in terms of skateboarding, I think you kind of don't stop until you learn the new trick. There's so many times where you fail, like you never do something the first time, it's impossible. Because the first time you try it, you don't really know what you're doing. So I think probably in terms of that sense, yeah, I think the trying and trying again until you kind of do it, and then going on to the next thing is kind of similar with football, because nothing's ever perfect and there's always so much that you can keep learning, and it's the same with skateboarding, you kind of never completed it, so it's the same with football. So
you're like the Welsh Julian Nagelsmann. Last question. This season, we're asking every player we speak to, Brennan, if you could only listen to one song, one tune for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
I don't know what exact song, but I'd definitely probably say like Bob Marley. I think really chilled, meaningful, and yeah, just nice to listen to. So I'll probably say one of his songs for sure. Is there one that comes to mind, just off the top of your head? Maybe Redemption Song.
Oh, a classic.
Yeah.
Brennan, to you, to your family, to your team, big love. Thank you very much. Thank you. Courage.